Shifting gears, immigration. Nebraska is one of the places where a lot of these children are coming, and we're housing hundreds possibly. We did a Chronicle on it a couple weeks ago, and advocates say these kids, in a way, can be compared to the Yazidis in Iraq, that they are escaping a very dangerous fate, and we're treating them, you know, like they are criminals here. What's your take on the whole immigration situation, and where do we go? Well, I think they're immigrants that have come here without proper documentation, and so there is a set process for that. And one of the bills that the House passed before we went to our August work district, not vacation, but was to just say we're going to align the way we treat children with the same way that the law is for Canada and Mexico, that there's a set process. They won't have the long delays in the process. But if there is truly at risk, if you send them home, of violence, then there's also a process that can be shown, and then they would be able to stay, but they'd have to show that. So there is a process to protect them if they truly are like the Yazidis and are under the true danger, or like the South Sudanese who had a refugee status because there was a nation state that was bent on wiping them out.
It almost sounds like it's a kind of an amateur or a junior league path to amnesty, and I know that's been a red flag. You know, you're saying you know, the GOP has been completely against amnesty for immigrants, but is it sound what you're going with now with the kids? No, we just recognize that they're here, and there's a process that really delays everything for them in the by way of getting any level of help and treatment. So the bill also said you will get your health care treatment if you come over, and you'll get it. But there's another component too, and that was border security. One of what I hear from a lot of people is, geez, we had 67,000 children cross the border and our border is secure. That isn't computing with most people. And so it did show that we need a lot more security along our borders in this day of age. Not to stop the children, but to just, people are walking across without anyone there to know it. You know, these children had to go, and a lot of adults do, are actually walking around trying to find somebody. That's not border security, and we need to do that first before we go to the long-term strategy on immigration. You need to secure our borders first. Nobody now believes that our borders are secure. Let me ask you about minimum wage real quick, and we keep shifting gears, so we got a lot we want to go through. Minimum wage, you voted against the increase in the minimum wage. Yeah. I've talked to, you know, the governor here said before, told us, he said, hey, maybe it's time to raise the minimum wage. This is a guy in your own party. Yeah. Saying maybe this is time. It's been long enough. So let's go ahead and possibly raise it. Well, and the state has a minimum wage. The federal government has a minimum wage. And they usually follow each other. Well, when I was at Peony Park starting off at $1.60 an hour, it was a lot less for state than the federal back then. That was a couple of years ago, Rob. But that's how I look at it. First of all, when we look at who's actually earning minimum wage right now, only 3 to 4% of hourly workers are earning a minimum wage or below, a state minimum wage. And out of that group, only less than 10% are head of households. So most of those earning a minimum wage are like my 16-year-old son at a local grocery store. All right? Okay. Those starting jobs like me in Peony Park and Exarban. My son's the same way, yep. So the key to me is, if we're really going to help people that need to be lifted up, it's not an issue of the minimum wage, it's the issue of the skills that are necessary. Because Brandy and Rob, we have open jobs in Omaha, hundreds, that start at $20 an hour. So some people want to talk about 10. I'm thinking, how do we provide the skill training, the job training, so they get the skills to earn $20 an hour or $25? There's billboards for welders right now. You can go to every one of our manufacturers in the metropolitan area. The lowest I've heard paid is $18 an hour, and they all have job openings. So one of the bills that we passed just a month or so ago was a Skills Act that reformed our job training programs to be able to teach or support, like if you want to go to Metro for welding and earn $50,000 a year or more, that you would receive money for the training. And I think that's more humanitarian to teach them the skills necessary to earn way more than the minimum wage and be able to get into the middle class and support your family. It's all about teaching the skills. We're missing the mark.
Well, obviously, we are just getting started here. So much more to discuss. We have another 30 minutes to come on KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Yeah, next we're going to talk with Congressman Lee Terry about the tornadoes that leveled Pilger, efforts to rebuild, and also his efforts to use wind for good.